I'll give you another idea also.
Dear viewers, did you know that one of the best teas in the world is produced in Israel? And that people with special needs are part of it? Welcome to Fascination Israel. And today, we have a fascinating story for you. Stay tuned. David Ross, born in Norway, raised in the U.S. Today, he lives just outside of Jerusalem. He is a tea maker, a studied forester, is a nature lover, an immigrant, and a social employer. Gottfried Bueller wants to meet this multi-purpose super talent and visits him in the beautiful wooded Judean hills.
So David, thank you very much for having me here. I want to ask you, do you start your morning with a coffee or with a tea?
This is a great question. Seemingly a contradictory answer, because while I have a tea company, first thing I do in the morning is start with a cup of Turkish-style coffee with cardamom. To start my day with the cardamom coffee.
With your own cardamom
with
coffee? With
Shalva cardamom coffee, yeah. This right here. And then when I sort of move on with my workday, I come outside here with my computer, I start answering emails and phone calls. That's when I start with the first cup of tea to kind of balance.
What was the trigger for you to start a herbal tea company?
Actually, I remember when I was moving here to Israel, the organization that helps new immigrants, they have this form. What are you planning to do in Israel? We have on the form there was, high tech, or you'd be a doctor or a lawyer. And I wrote, I plan to start a tea company. And they said, what do you mean? You're going to come? This is the land of IT, not tea. I said, yeah, but I have a feeling it will work out. Shortly thereafter, I went to a kibbutz. They're drinking herbal tea all the time from different herbs that they grow. And I saw that there is a culture of drinking tea here, but the main teas that were being sold in stores weren't really addressing the need of kind of a more local flavor. So I saw a niche there, and I thought, you know what, I'm gonna try to make an herbal tea company using the local flavors of Israel. And that was inspiration 7 some years ago, and since then it's been steadily growing.
Shalva tea, what does Shalva mean?
Shalva is a Hebrew word for somewhere between, you could say, calmness and tranquility. You see it in the Psalms of King David. He uses the word shalva. There should be peace within your walls and shalva between your palaces, within your palaces. So it's sort of like giving a blessing for a day where there's peace and calmness. And when I first moved to Israel, it was really at the beginning of a different war in Gaza back in 2014. So there was a lot of stress, and the whole country's on edge. And the idea kind of seemed to merge together very well of like, let's bring a tea that calms down the tensions. Okay, we're in the Middle East, but we can also have some caffeine-free cups of tea and, hopefully find some common ground.
So would you say if all people drink your tea, the whole issue here in Israel would be eliminated?
Totally, totally. I've been speaking to the, Interior Ministry about this for years, but they just don't have the budget to supply the whole region with tea. So.
David creates his tea blends himself. He gives Gottfried Buehler an insight into the secret laboratory.
I wanted to show you the mixing process for one of the blends, but I wanted to show you like each ingredient and how we're doing it.
And where do you get the herbs?
Yeah, so for example, a lot of these are grown here. This is Peter Adom. This is a raspberry leaf that's grown up in northern Israel, as well as Ale Zait, that's an olive leaf. At my house, I have some of this growing wild in the stones. This is a Zuta Levana, the mint with a kind of almost a peppermint type flavor. It's so strong. It's really, if you just get right in there.
Yes.
So what we're going to mix today is, it's called the Ela Valley blend. It has basically Zuta, it has roses, it also has rose hips, peppermint, and sumac. Should we get started?
Yes.
All right. So we'll first check the Ela Valley. We're going to do a 6 kilo jar. So we start with the peppermint, 2.28 kilos. In this case, it's going to be most, if not all of this. Let's see. .2. We like to be exact here. So that's enough of the peppermint. Okay, and the next one is rose. Okay, so we're going for 0.96 And the next ingredient we have is licorice. Okay, and this is, are you familiar with licorice, licorice root? So this is the actual root that's been ground down to almost a powder. This is so it's very sweet. No sugar added.
No sugar.
All natural.
That's amazing.
And this is going to get very dusty, so be careful with your camera. And again, we mix it here. So the next is rose hips. So you're probably familiar with this from Germany. This is from the rose bush, the fruit that comes out after the flower. that's now been crushed. So this is full of vitamin C. Okay, and we're going for 0.72. Okay, and we just have 2 more ingredients.
Sumac.
Yeah, so
That's unusual, sumac for tea.
It gives a nice kind of almost like a tart flavor, like some candies use similar flavors as this. It really brings things alive on the tongue, and no MSG, no added flavors. I use this as kind of like to make the flavor pop a little bit. 100% natural. So again, 0.72. And the final ingredient is this zuta.
Ah, this is the peppermint.
Yeah. And now comes the fun part.
The mixing.
The mixing. So I'm gonna just mix it now by hand, and it might get a little dusty in the air, so hold your breath. But you can really see the colors start to complement each other. Yeah, and there you have it. So this is what we call the Ella Valley blend with these 6 ingredients, and naturally sweet and delicious. And now we're going to bring it over to the machines.
Okay.
All right.
In the evening, if you go out for a walk here in the forest, does the soil and the herbs and the flowers here give you ideas for your blends of your tea?
Yeah, the 6 main blends of tea that I have, each one is named after a different region. So I have the Jerusalem blend, which has in it several ingredients that are growing here naturally. And similar, we have the Carmel blend, the Galil blend, the Arava blend, and the Ella Valley blend, and the Ein Gedi blend. And each blend is basically inspired by the local plants that are growing in those areas.
And all ingredients of your tea grows in Israel.
So it's all herbs that would grow naturally in Israel. Some of them, for example, fennel seed, which you can see growing everywhere around here. There's no commercial farmers that are growing the fennel seed. So the fennel seed is imported, and there's a couple ingredients. If they're not grown by Israeli farmers, but it's a native ingredient, so to speak, then I'll import them. But the most is using herbs that are grown by local farmers, mostly in northern Israel.
You was born in Norway. Then when you was a kid, your parents went to the United States. And now we are sitting here in Israel. This is quite an amazing journey. How did that come?
Essentially, when we moved to the US, I never felt quite fully American. I came only when I was 6, and I always felt like I kind of was missing something. At the same time, I didn't really feel Norwegian, even though I was born there and my father was there and we spent many summers there. I could speak the language, but I didn't feel enmeshed in the culture. And as I was getting older, I was sort of, searching for my own identity. And I felt like what felt most real inside me was just, I connected to that I was Jewish. And I felt like that identity was the strongest between American or Norwegian. I came when I was 16 for a few months and learned what a real miracle it is that Israel as a state exists. And so, I wanted to be part of that story. And I came back for the second time when I was about 29 or 30. And I moved here, made Aliyah shortly thereafter.
When you first put your feet on Israel, on the holy ground, so to say, can you remember this moment?
I remember getting on my knees and kissing the ground.
Wow.
You know, you grow up with these stories of Israel, and it's... I remember landing here and feeling instantly like, wow, I'm sort of stepping back into history. I'm in the place where it happened. I'm where the Bible happened. And get a real sense of continuity, you know? I'm a part of the Jewish people. This is where we come from. We're called Jews not because it's a Jewish religion. We're called Jews because we're from the people of Judea, and these are the Judean hills. We have this machine, it's making the tea bags. From there, we bring it to a station where they do a sort of a quality control separation. Sometimes the tea bags are a bit cut, or something didn't work nicely on the machine, or maybe we'll have an empty tea bag. So they go and they go through each one. They fill it in these ice trays because it's just a convenient way to count them. So this is a surefire way that you always get 18 tea bags. From here, they fill it into these smaller cellophane bags. These are all 18. They seal the bags here, so they're hermetically sealed. Then they go into this box, and from here, we go into the final tea box. Which already has the date and the batch number stamped on here. And seal it.
Right? I like the design.
Yeah, this is a new design. It's different from the tubes that you saw earlier. We recently opened a new tea factory in combination with a nonprofit that hires people with special needs to do the packaging.
Why did you come up with the idea to work with handicapped people or disabled people?
Well, the truth is that I have a cousin in Norway who has Down syndrome, and he also has been working for these kind of companies. So I was aware that this sort of arrangement exists, you know, from a long time ago. And you know, they're here 5 days a week, and working from 8 in the morning till about 3 in the afternoon with some breaks. But yeah, they're here all day, and all in all, there's about 30 people plus minus working in this factory.
The goal is that you bring them in companies outside.
Yeah, for those that can. So not everybody can, but the goal is that this is essentially a training ground, and for people that are getting used to coming every day to work, to be responsible, and they can be trusted to do, you know, these kinds of tasks. They can then get jobs outside at other kinds of manufacturing plants that have sort of steady, consistent work, something that they're able to manage to do.
Do you feel better knowing that handicapped people are working on your tea and helping to provide the tea in boxes?
I like to think of it in terms of the word sustainability. It's a word that gets thrown a lot now in the last 10, 20 years. So in that sense, it's both ecologically sound, it's sound in terms of giving back to the community, and it's also profitable. You know, it's not a non-profit organization; it's a for-profit organization that's working hand in hand with people with special needs to, you know, to move forward for everyone.
Oh, it's excellent.
Yeah.
So So living here in this wonderful, or close to this wonderful forest, it's wonderful. It's a wonderful nature here, but it's also dangerous, and very often you were facing fires here, right? And last year there was a big fire during the Gaza war. Did it affect you?
Well, I'd say there is always a wildfire threat here, and the more the climate change kind of is making the Mediterranean region hotter, we're having hotter and drier days that are starting earlier and earlier. So fire threat is becoming real here. There has been fires in the hills all around. This specific pocket hasn't been hit with fire. But yeah, also when the wars break out, some fires start from missiles, like you mentioned. And we had a missile land just a couple hundred meters from here inside this village, and no one was hurt, thankfully. A small fire was started around it, but it was put out. And yeah, it's wildfire threat is an issue. Actually, around here you can see some pine trees. About a year ago it was much more dense forest, but the local village decided to take out many of the trees in order to prevent devastating wildfire from reaching the houses if there is a fire here in the hills.
In fact, David's idea to create herbal teas came about during his visits to Israel to research the aftermath of the devastating Carmel forest fire in 2010. During his semester studies in forestry and his work in the Carmel forest, he kept finding local herbs and plant varieties more or less by accident. Today, these can be found in his tea blends.
And do you also think about health issues? So if you have, for example, a bad stomach or so, would you say that I have some recipes?
Oh, that was originally the vision, to have it both making sense with ecological regions, but also with health implications or wellness implications. So this one, the Carmel, is great for immune system. This one here, which has a lot of licorice and rose and vitamin C and rose hips, this is good for a sore throat. This chamomile lavender blend is for, calmness and relaxation, especially in the evening. This Jerusalem one is a cholesterol, addresses cholesterol levels. This Ein Gedi one is for the stomach. It has fennel seed and sage and carob, really good for all kinds of digestive issues. And the Galil one, which has in it dandelion green and olive leaf and lemon balm, is good for the liver and for cleansing.
How about coffee? Is this also a healthy coffee, so to say?
Coffee is healthy because if it puts a smile on your face, it's healthy, in my opinion. And I think if you have rituals in your life, whether they're religious or it's your coffee ritual, ritual adds to quality of life.
Mm-hmm. Do you read in the Torah or in the Tanakh? Are you connected to your faith?
Yes, although I would identify more as a secular Zionist or a secular Jew. I'm not going every day to the Beit Knesset, to the synagogue, but just, yesterday on Shabbat I was. So it's not part of my daily practice, but of course I feel connected to it, and I'm definitely a part of it in my own way.
Is your tea available in Europe or even in Germany?
Currently, the best way to get it is through ordering online to Germany.
That means if someone would order on your website, you ship to Germany.
Yeah. I've had some learning process with the German customs agency. Instead of just tea, I need to write Kräutertee to make Kräutertee, to make sure everybody's happy.
You're doing good.
In general, we export to there, but it's not being sold in stores in Germany at the moment.
Liebe Zuschauer,
Dear viewers, I have tried these fantastic teas from David,
und ich kann Ihnen
and I can only recommend that you try these wonderful tea blends.
auch einmal auszuprobieren.
Fascination Israel has once again told you a fascinating story from Israel.
Und wir können dies
We can only do this with the help of so many of our friends.
Darf ich Sie an der
May I ask you to help us too?
Sie mit, dass wir
In order for us to continue to produce these films, so that we can keep showing what is otherwise not shown from Israel.
nicht gezeigt wird.
Thank you for watching the show today. For now, I say goodbye from Israel with a heartfelt shalom.